My name is Patrick Simonnet. I'm Deputy Head of Unit of DEVCO A5, Crisis Management and Fragility. Our unit is actually under the Directorate A of DEVCO, dealing with development policy formulation. This is a directorate headed by our director, Gustavo Martin Prada. Our unit, whose head of unit is Denisa Elena Ionete, is actually a new unit. It's just created in June 2011, following the reorganization of the corporation services and the merger of DG Dev and EDCO. And we are more or less now, 1 year later, let's say, we are the full team gathered, and we are more or less 14 people. Our task, our mission statement within this DEVCO A Directorate is actually to formulate the cooperation policy with countries in situation of fragility and crisis. In terms of why I'm in this position, I think it's linked to the fact that I had the chance to work in crisis situations before and deal with crisis management issues as well. I'm back now from 8 years in delegation, based in Madagascar and South Africa. Before that, I was dealing with conflict prevention and crisis management in the former RELEX DG. And I was basically one of those working in this new structure, which has been established after the Kosovo crisis, actually. At that time, I had the occasion, for example, to write a communication on conflict prevention for Commissioner Patton. Then going to delegation, I went to Madagascar. It's quite understood that it's a fragile country. What was interesting there was actually the complexity of the situation and how it proved to be quite difficult to understand what was going on, and actually even to anticipate the next crisis. In South Africa, just after, South Africa is a bit of a different country. It's not so much a fragile country, but it's a country with a strong history of violence. Let's say it showed me how complex it can be to work on those kind of issues, and the fact that it's not only just because of a small police program or let's say human rights awareness program that you're going to fix things. So you have to be modest, and you have to look at the context as a whole, in a way. In Madagascar, I was doing a bit of political work, and it's extremely difficult to understand who are the players, the drivers. So I think that's one of the message we are passing now also to our delegations, how to properly use all the assessment tools and do some work around let's say the root causes of fragility and things like that. I think overall the lesson is also that we have a wealth of instruments and policies, and there's lots of lessons that are let's say learned by people in the field, and we need to put all that in common, and we need to make that accessible to staff in the field, so that they know that there has been similar situations, and there has been some options proposed. And so in a way that our work, I think, in this unit is to rationalize a bit the experience of the Commission in working in fragile and crisis situation, makes it accessible to the staff, and also here and there maybe update a bit the knowledge, because things have developed also over the last few years. So it's also our role to provide guidance on this new thinking around fragility and state building. A big thing for us is to help staff to mainstream fragility in development cooperation. And again, this guidance will hopefully help to do that. Another big issue is to help staff to mobilize more rapidly and flexibly our financial instruments. And we have done work on that also, and there's work being proposed by the Commission also in the new MFF. We're working a lot on flexible procedures, so we need also to pass some messages on that to the staff. And lastly, we are also working on how makes our, let's say, human resources policy a bit more fragile, let's say, friendly. And we're working, for example, very much on how to deploy more quickly our staff in situation of crisis and fragility. So all that, let's say, can be discussed and explained to our staff, and also having, I think, a big objective for this training is to have feedback from the staff, to reality check. Actually, there can be an issue about the definition of fragility. There's no, let's say, universally agreed definition of fragility, but everyone, let's say, agrees that on let's say, the main characteristic of fragility, which are weak institutions, let's say, lack of leadership, lack of political will to perform, let's say, basic state duties and to deliver public goods. I mean, that's more or less what we all agree on. And actually, the Council in 2007, our Council, the EU Council, has proposed a definition which is maybe interesting to recall. And it goes very much in the same direction. Fragility refers to weak or failing structures and to situations where the social contract is broken due to the state's incapacity or unwillingness to deal with its basic functions, meet its obligations and responsibilities regarding the rule of law, protection of human rights and fundamental freedoms, security and safety of its population, poverty reduction, service delivery, the transparent and equitable management of resources, and access to power. And that's more or less what we are, let's say, looking at in all those countries which we tend to consider fragile. With this definition, basically we talk about 50 or 60 countries in the world. And I think some important thing is that, and a message we'll pass in this training, is that state building is really the key policy response to fragility. So what we want really to see, and that has been also put in the agenda for change, is that state building is really put at the center of our development cooperation.